Hey guys, my name is Kendrick, and welcome to ENFP Male. Today I get to interview Joseph Christopher. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, that
All
is
right,
me.
awesome, dude. So welcome, man. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I actually first encountered you when Dave and Shan did that. It's like this online meetup on how NE works, and I saw you there. And
Yeah, that was a
yeah. That's when I first saw you. So I was like, oh yeah, I know this guy. um, so dude, you are an ESFP, but can you tell us what your um, breakdown is of your personality?
so. Of course, I was typed as double masculine.
Yeah,
SETE. Play, consume, blast, sleep.
you can see investing. Oh, okay, and
Double doubling up on my SE and my TE.
doubling up on your
Active
NC
FI.
and T.
Mhm.
All right, so you live in the outside world. And do you agree with the typing that you got? Did it make perfect sense to you when you
For
got
the
it?
longest time, I did not agree. But after having several calls with Shannon, I did maybe like 5 to 6 coaching calls so far. She explained it in such a way where it kind of like it threw me off guard with like I've been watching the videos consistently all the time. It's almost like I eat, sleep, and breathe OP. And
Yeah.
then Shannon, I got in a coaching call with her, and I'm like, I really, really don't think this is my type. I think I'm this. And she was like, throughout the call, she was pointing out, okay, SE right there. You're using SE. You're using SE. You're using TE. That's your FI. That's your NI. And I'm like, holy crap, that's insane. I didn't actually think that. So I was so unconscious to it, and I didn't want to believe it. But now I'm like, okay, like there's definitely some truth in here. Like my TE was like, okay, this actually makes a lot of sense. My masculine TE finally moved towards it, which was pretty cool. And my FI was so excited.
I like your what do you call it, your expression when you went like this about the FI. That's awesome. Yeah, it's very feminine FI. It's great.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea how feminine my FI is. It's ridiculous. I'm
Yeah.
like, it gets so annoying. Like right now, my feminine FI is so annoyed at how movable and feminine it is. It's like, damn it. Like I get so pissed off sometimes. It's
Uh,
really fun.
because you have masculine T, do you punch the tribe when they piss you off, or how does that
I
work?
my masculine T is like, I'm constantly like shoving on the tribe, asking them for validation. Like, was this okay? Was that good? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Tell me. Like, are you sure? Like, it's one of those. It's not like it was good, right? Yeah, it was good. Oh, okay. I believe you. It's more of like tell me right now that it was good. Tell me that right now that this worked. And it's like, it's so forceful that it doesn't seem like it is to me. I'm like, no, I'm very like easygoing. But the masculine TE is just so like, it's almost like I I grab you by the throat and I'm shaking you. Tell me right now, and it's just like it's ridiculous how shovey I am and punchy. It's people get annoyed at it, but they tolerate me because they're like, "But we like you. You're my friend." And I'm like, "Okay, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go crawl into my into my hole now." You know.
Yeah.
So
Well, you're still a good person, even though you're chubby. Like,
thank
uh,
you.
yeah. No, because like like I don't know if you did it. I don't know if you're aware of this, but you even shoved me already before this interview started. When we were
Oh,
like we're talking about like me being like lead TE instead of like
like
lead FI, like
well,
because you're like
NET.
yeah,
Yeah,
'cause you're saying I'm NET, right? And then the way you backed it up is like, oh, well, Shannon David said it, and then you're using the tribe spectrum, right? It's like they said that you were this,
yeah,
and then you're shoving it
right.
through, like, no, I don't think so. You're using your reasons to back it up. No, I don't think so. And then I'm like, and then I'm like, huh, this is masculine TE right here. All right.
Yeah, right.
I
It was because I saw it on the video in one of the classes. I was like, I think this is the same Kendrick, and he's an ENFP. And like they were saying, I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense because and here's my T. That makes a lot of sense because it's like I remember there's a Kendrick that's an ENFP, and I remember like the video, and I was just like, oh, there it is. So that's why I was like, they said you might be TE. I think it might be the same person, but I'm not sure. I have to look back on it. I have to check my sensory.
yeah.
So like I'm just like
I
but
know
yeah.
exactly which video you're referring to, by the way. Yeah, because I think I was asking a question about blast or sleep. And it was one of them, and then
I
that
think it was like I think it was I think it's something to do with blast. Yeah, that's right. You were blasting about how you're asking about blast as and like OE gather or something like getting started. Like
yeah.
I forget what it is, but I know exactly what you're talking about. If I saw the list, I'm like that one. I would know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And then, dude, how does your masculine SE work? Like,
Oh my god.
how does masculine SE work to begin with? Like, that's one of the biggest question mark I have in my head. Like,
Okay, so masculine SE it's almost like a scanner, basically.
yeah,
Like I'm looking and I'm looking for new information constantly, and I'm like, oh, that could apply to this. Here could be another piece of information why I'm not this type, and my TE will agree, and my FI will be like, yeah, you know what I mean. So I'm constantly looking for new, pulling in new, so
yes,
that I could really prove. I can like shove on the tribe and prove and be like, I am not this type. So it's like I'm constantly pulling new information. I'm not going over known. And something really interesting that I've been doing that Shannon pointed out to me, which was really, I've been laughing my ass off with how much I say this. When I express something, especially to the tribe, I use the word literally. And it's like, I'm like, yeah, that like I'm showing this video of this dog who's afraid to go down the steps to my coworker because I was like anxious about doing this thing because
yeah.
I'd never done it before. I'm like, oh my gosh, like even though I have the knowledge, I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I'm not stupid, but it was just like, it was new. And even though like my NI could have been like, oh, it's the same thing. You can just do it like, the same way. I was saying, this is literally me. This is literally me. Like this. And it's like, literally that's you. You're a dog trying to go down like a flight of steps. That's
Yeah.
literally you. So my SE is trying to take the abstract and put it into more concrete by using the word literally.
Oh, I
It's
see.
just so weird. It's so weird. And Shannon, if you watch the videos on the Q&As and stuff, Shannon will say literally a lot, and Dave occasionally says it, but Shannon says literally like all the time. Like all the time. It's crazy. It's so funny now that I realize it, and I hear it in other people too. And my friends I have a friend, she's an INTP. I would talk with her on the phone all the time, and she was like, I would say, literally, blah, blah, blah. She's like, literally. And I didn't even hear that she was saying that she was kind of like making fun of me a little bit.
Yeah.
And now that I notice it, she was like, yeah, I used to say that to you all the time. You never picked up on it. I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah. She's like, you're completely unconscious to your SE. And I'm like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. Like my TE was so like revved up. My FI was like, oh my gosh. And then I finally accepted my type. And I'm like, okay, I'm a double masculine, SCTE, play, consume, blast, sleep. Okay. I get it. So that's how my SE works.
So you try to gather like evidence of something, and once you gather the evidence, it's spot on. It's like, nope, I've seen it. Nope, I've seen it. It's like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Nope.
Exactly.
Yeah. I see.
It's so embarrassing. I'm just like, my FI is like, oh my gosh, it's so freaking embarrassing. Damn it. I do that all the time. Oh my gosh. I don't realize how unconscious I am to my saviors.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's so bad. I'm like, shame.
It's like that video from Family Guy. I think David Shen had this video of like this guy talking to this donkey, and the donkey's like,
no.
Yeah, nope, look it up, nope, look it up.
Yep,
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, that's like what you're doing, I think. um, so, dude, you said that when you first got typed, you didn't agree with it. What did you think you were at first?
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me answer this question. I thought that I had I thought that I was lead FE. I thought I had FE.
Oh,
I thought
okay.
I had FE. I was so convinced. I'm like, nope, I'm an ENFJ. I'm an ENFJ. Nope. My TE was like, nope. Like the tribe, nope. I'm like, and it was so funny because it was so embarrassing. I'm like, wow, I really didn't agree with that at all, and I didn't TE agree with it, and I am not an ENFJ. No, I don't use FE. It's my feminine FI that I guess I aspire to, that I'm like, oh, okay, like that's where the FE feeling comes from, and that's why I thought I was lead FE, but I'm not. I am so far from that.
You know what? I did notice that people with feminine FI, it does come across as FE a lot of times, because it's very expressive, like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're just
But I think you might have thought you were an ENFJ because, ENFJ does have strong SE use also, right? So like it does make sense, so you kind of just, maybe that's how you were looking at it. I don't know if that's true or not. It's like feminine FI plus like strong use of SE. It's like, it does get confusing, but I do see, I do see the FI in you though, when you talk, because you're like,
it's great. I'm actually appreciating my FI like a lot more. Like there are times where I'm like, I love my FI, and there are times like I hate my FI. Like I can't stand my FI. Like I get so like my FI my FI does cause me a lot of trouble. Like in life, for example, finding a job that I actually like.
Yeah.
Like I notice that a lot of my work that I do is because the reasons are so appealing,
Yeah.
and I don't like the job at all. And I'm just
Oh,
like, do that. And I keep on getting into like these constant like states of like, I hate my job, I hate my job, I love my job, I hate my job, I love my job. And I'm just like, oh my God, pick something, pick a feeling. It's so, my FI is so movable to
yeah.
the point where like I don't even know if I like it or I don't like it. But part of me, like when I tap into it a little bit more, I'm like, okay, I actually like it. Or like I like it a little bit, but not as much as this. So it's like there's so much movement within my FI. It's ridiculous.
So your
So
FI, because your FI is a demon,
mhm.
and it's feminine. Have you ever had any identity crisis or anything related to kind of like having a demon FI that kind of, you know, mini tidal wave? Have you ever had a mini tidal wave with your FI?
A mini tidal wave.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. The funny thing is like my FI tidal waves, I feel like are way more intense, even though it's my activated demon. Like they are way more intense than I feel like my NI tidal waves, because it's like my NI is just, it's weird, but I feel like my FI growing up, like I actually had to go to therapy. I went to therapy for 3 years to actually be able to tell my therapist exactly what I'm feeling. Like she would ask me, "What are you feeling?" And I'm like, I don't know. It was so awkward when I would try to express to her what I was feeling. But after 3 years of actually doing talk therapy and going through it, my tidal waves have decreased significantly, even though like they kind of like my my mom calls me bipolar because of how I go from like I'm really great one day and then I'm really horrible the next day, and I'm really great one day and really horrible the next day. And I think that has a lot to do with my movable FI, my feminine FI. So that's definitely something that I struggle with a lot.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. Um, when you were talking about like you don't know how you feel, is it like, is it because you have sleep less? Like you don't take the time to process how you feel, like you kind of just sit there and in a quiet room and just kind of
Yeah.
process kind of like your life and what's happening. Would you say
Yeah,
that?
it's like my intuition doesn't connect my feelings to like a situation. It's like, okay, I'm feeling something. What am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? Where the hell is this coming from? It's really icky. Like when I was on the call with Shannon recently, I remember like I was sitting with her 1 minute and she said a couple of things, and all of a sudden my eyes just welled up with tears, and it was just like really just like it was awkward and weird, and I started crying, and she was so nice about, oh my gosh, I love Shannon. She's such a blessing. She was like so nice about it, and she was very, very like, it's okay, you can cry. And I was just like pouring out tears. And then like 5 seconds later, like a minute later, I was like, I was fine. So it was just, it comes out of nowhere sometimes. And I'm just like, ah. So,
What triggered you to cry to begin with?
on the call,
Yeah.
it was more, I was afraid that Shannon and Dave were like, because we would email each other a lot. And I was like taking it so personally that they weren't like emailing me back as much. And I thought like I did something wrong. I guess this is where my NI comes in. I'm like, oh my God, I did something wrong. Like, what did I do? What did I do? Why don't they like me? Oh my gosh. And then like, I was like, Shannon, I just really want to know, are you mad at me for something? Did I do something wrong? And she was like, Joey, we love you. She goes, you don't have to worry. And I started crying. Like, I want to cry right now, but I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was that like when somebody expresses to me something like a really intense emotion, it hits my FI, and I'm like, and I just get like so just tense, or and I just like I just, it just hits me out of nowhere. It's like boom, and I'm like, whoa. That came out of nowhere, kind of thing, like when I'm watching like sad videos, or if I'm watching like videos of like dogs getting rescued, like my FI just loses it, and it just like it's just so, it's like weird, but at the same time it's kind of interesting.
You know what's crazy is my girlfriend, I think, has feminine FI,
Mhm.
and the way you're kind of like describing it right now, and even the way you're expressing it, it's the same way she would do it too. Like she'll literally like watch a video on like dog rescue, or like or like she'll talk about like she, lots of animals, but like even if I just tell her a sad story, because I work in fitness, so
Mhm.
I teach a lot of
Me
seniors.
too.
Oh, that's awesome. We'll have to talk about that. But
Yeah.
I teach seniors classes, and I'll tell her like a story about like something sad that happened to the senior or something endearing, and you can see her like really getting moved by the story, like emotionally, like she'll
Mhm.
start like, you know, tearing up or feeling so sad, and I'm like, oh my god, like, so I realized, but just based on talking to you, that feminine FIs, it also makes you like very sensitive, like you're a highly sensitive person. Would you agree to that statement?
Yes, it's ridiculous. Like if I'm in a room with somebody and they give me like a weird look, like my manager or something like that, I need to know, are you mad at me? Did I do something wrong? And he was like, no, I'm just really tired. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I needed to know his TE reasons. And like what I always have this challenge with myself whenever I watch this movie. I don't know if you ever heard of the movie A Walk to Remember. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I did. Yeah.
okay, so you know that movie. If you don't know it, look it up. It's basically about a girl who she's a Christian girl and she meets a popular guy. He was an asshole. He had a transformation, and then she like basically they basically fell in love, and eventually, like, throughout the movie you see the struggles of the relationship with her sickness and stuff. And I always challenge myself. I'm like, I've seen this movie 10,000 times. This is not going to be any different. I am not going to cry. And what do? There's this one scene when the main character, his name is Landon, goes to his dad's house after his dad helped him to take care of his girlfriend Jamie, and they hug, and I'm just like, ah! And I'm cracking up because it's just so funny how linked it is to like my FI, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I can't put on like that masculine, like, I won't cry, like anything with kids being sick, cancer movies, or movies about someone dying, and like, or a dog, like Marley and Me. I'm just like the biggest baby when it comes to things like that, and I just lose it. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, why? But I'm starting to appreciate it more and more as I come to terms with it, and I see how it's useful when I talk to people and interact with people, and like within my business, at work and whatnot. So it's becoming a very useful tool instead of like a demon. You know what I mean?
Well, I think there's nothing wrong with being expressive. I think that's a good thing, actually, because you don't want to pent up those emotions, right? It's better to kind of like
Well,
release.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where growing up, I was always like, I always felt like showing my emotions was, it seemed like I was always told, or I wasn't allowed to. I didn't have permission to show my emotions, because if I did, I was told, like, stop being a baby. Like, I was given a lot of tough love, and it was traumatizing because I was a very emotional kid growing up, and I really wanted to be able to share my emotions, and I wasn't allowed to. And it was like my mom is I think my mom might be like FI demon as well, because she didn't like, she's more of like, I'll take care of things practically, but I'm not going to take care of your emotional state. My dad,
What do you think your mom's personality is? If
I
you
really can't say. I
if you were
think
to
that
guess.
she might be, I think she might either be sleep last or consume last, and she's blast play or play blast. I want to say she's blast play because she's very much like teaching, controlling the tribe. And I don't know if she's an EJ or an IJ, or like I don't know if she's an IJ EJ subtype or EJ IJ subtype. It's what between one of those two. I'm like, I created a Google Doc, and I'm like working on putting notes of my gathered information. I gathered SC, I'm putting into my Google Doc, and I'm like just seeing how it plays out. I'm like, okay, this argument happened. It was about this thing and that thing and this person and that person. So I'm kind of like adding up the points to see, like, where might what might be the guess for my mom. So I'm like, I'm working on that right now. But she definitely has EJ problems, and she's definitely OI. I can say that with confidence, just because of her nature. She feels like in order for her to save the day, she needs to control. Like, I need to take control of this in order to make it better or make it work or whatever. And so growing up, it was one of those things where emotions was just another stress, and she couldn't deal with that. She needed to, and she needed to like make it so that we like we needed to take care of our own emotions, kind of thing. And my dad, I think he has FE, and I feel like my dad has FE, but it's a demon. So like my dad and I, we would connect because he would like hold space for my emotions all the time, and he would he would basically allow me to have my emotions, and I would be able to connect with him because it was almost like he understood me. So he might have either demon FE or maybe like FI savior and demon. I know that he's demon tribe. I know he's tribe above, or he's self above tribe. So it's like one of those things where it was like I was able to connect with my dad because healing was either an activated demon or it was a savior. I really don't know what my parents' types are, so I'm gonna respect the SE information and the facts and all that. So I don't know, but yeah, growing up was hard because emotions weren't really allowed as much as I feel like some families where they're like FE all the time. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
So you said that you think your mom is either an EJ or IJ. And then, Dave and Shan always talks about EP problems, which is like, don't control me, bro. So do you
Yeah.
feel like you were controlled a lot as a kid? And like, did you ever had like a big kind of tidal wave or backlash as a result of, either your parents trying to tell you what to do or trying to control you, what you're doing, or other people trying to control you? So can you talk about like...
I think so. My thing was like I was always respectful of my parents' rules if the reasons were good. That's the only time I would be respectful. If the reasons weren't good, I wouldn't respect the rules, and I didn't want to be controlled. But if they made sense and they were like, oh yeah, like this because of this. Like if I would ask why and they said because I said so, that wouldn't be a good enough reason for me. And I'd be like, I'm not doing it then. Like tell me why I need to do it this way and I'll do it, but it better be good. And it was always like a battle of like, why? Tell me why. Tell me your reasons. And they didn't want, it was like a waste of time, like just do it kind of thing, So I did definitely have like don't control me bro thing going on, but it wasn't like anything rebellious. It was always like if I can't think of like a good example, like a good sensory example, but like it was more like generally speaking, like if I came home and I was expected to, I guess, clean my room and I had to do my homework and I didn't have time to clean my room wasn't clean. Here's me coming up with a sensory example. It was like if something needed to get done and I found there were better reasons to do a different thing and I didn't do that thing, then the thing with the better reasons would take precedent, pretty much, to sum it up.
You know what's weird is that like whatever you just did right now, that's exactly what my girlfriend does. Like she'll like whenever someone tells her, hey, you need to do this, and she's like, why? And if they can't give her a why, she won't do it. Like it's exactly what you just said. Like tell me why. Oh, there's no why. Yeah. I'm not gonna do it. It's like that's like the attitude, right? And I'm like, oh my god. Like yeah. I think my girlfriend's also double masculine like you, and I'm like, and I'm just like, like, oh my god, this is exactly like this gets her in so much trouble. By the way, like I don't know if it gets you in trouble, but like
I was gonna say like the thing is like I don't get in trouble as much as I feel like a standard EP would. Like I would go against my parents' wishes sometimes, but I would always be more concerned about respecting them just because I'm living at home and they're putting a roof over my head, they're taking care of me. All these reasons are pretty much like allowing me to not rebel against my FI or to use my FI to rebel against the tribe. So it's like I'm able to see that what they're doing is actually good for me. And even though I don't agree, if I don't TE agree, like if I don't think that this thing needs to happen, I don't need to like, I don't need to clean it. Like if I don't have time to clean something or whatever, and even though it's expected to be clean every day and I don't do it, it's kind of like, even though my FI doesn't want to do it, I'm just like, all right, but the reasons take precedent. I need to do it. I don't feel like doing it. My FI hates it, but I'm going to do it anyway because that's what needs to be done. And it's just like, it's like I am a slave to my TE. Like I'm a slave to it. And it's ridiculous with how much I don't even realize it. Because it's almost like if my mom said something to me like, hey, Joe, can you come here for a second? It's almost as though there's this sort of like, from like my gut, like some sort of pull, like a rope around me where I'm just like, all right, I'm coming. You know what I mean? Even though my FI is like, so that's why like I just need to like basically cut the rope and be SE free. But I do respect their like what they say and what they do just because the reasons are good. So
I think what you just did is like the best demonstration of double decider right there, because you're like you're like, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it, but okay, I see their point, I see the reason, but then I don't want to do it. It's like you know, it's like the perfect double decider. So it's clear you're clearly an EP, or yeah, you're a double decider at the very least. And I like when I interviewed Thomas, and you know, the ENFJ guy,
Mhm.
he said something to me that really resonated with me. Like even today, I think about it. He
Mhm.
said, whenever you're using one of your functions, you almost feel like you're obligated to use it. You know, so like when you said that you feel something in your gut, like your TE, kind of like when your parents are trying to make you do something, and you're feeling that like kind of like you're being magnetized towards it, like your body's almost moving automatically. It's like an obligation. Like you can't not do it. You know, I don't know if you resonate with that.
Oh my gosh, more than I'm willing to admit. Ugh, it's so bad. It's like it's almost like I'm anticipating what the consequences may be if I don't do it. So I'm just basically like, all right, if I do it, this will happen. If I don't do it, this is even worse. So maybe doing it is probably the best thing, the best reasons, even though my FI dreads it. It's like 'cause I I can see. So for example, if I get into an argument with my parents, I know exactly what they're gonna say. I know exactly what they're gonna say because I've had the same argument so many times. I'm like, they're gonna basically say that this, that, and the other thing, and you're so ungrateful, and this, that, and I'm just like, but, and it's just like they're not even gonna listen to me. So it's like I'm not gonna argue because if I argue, it's just gonna create more problems and drama, and I'm not gonna do it, even though my TE wants to. So it's like one of those things where, like, I know when to basically lighten up because I know exactly what would happen if I pursued it, if I pursued what I wanted to do, like what my FI wanted to do. So it's just kind of like I'm more of, if in Enneagram I'm like I think I have like a 2 and a 9 in my makeup somewhere. Like I'm more of like the peacekeeper. Like I'm not really an assertive aggressive ESFP. I'm more of like I try to keep the peace as much as I can. I try not to start in because it just makes everything just so much more complicated. And like I hoard myself in my room all the time because I just want to get away from all of that, because like if someone's unhappy and I know that they're unhappy, I'm just like, all right, go into my room. I'm not going to be a part of this. I don't want to be a part of this. Screw this. Or like I'll call a friend and go out or something just to get me away from the drama. But even though drama finds me all the time. So it's like one of those things where I've gotten a lot better at it just for the sake of keeping the peace.
It
So
seems to me that you are actually a type 2 enneagram, because it's kind of like you're seeking love and
yeah,
affection and like
yep,
validation. Like, you know,
mm-hmm.
and, you know, I like how awesome, like, I think it's really awesome that you're very honest about it, because a lot of people kind of like, there's like a sense of shame with needing validation from other people. And I don't think there should be. Like when I talk to my girlfriend about it, I'm always like, no, if you feel like, you know, you're not getting enough, you know, like words of affirmation from me, then, you know, you gotta let me know, because I'm not doing it on purpose, you know, because I just don't know, right? Like I don't know
Right.
when that, like, I don't know if this happens to you, but like I don't know if I know with my girlfriend, it kind of bubbles up like, oh no, I need more validation. Like, can someone please like let me know like I'm a good person, or like, you know, that you still like me, you know? So I don't know if
Oh, but I do that so much. It's like I'm ashamed when I do it in the moment, but
yeah.
like after reflecting on it, it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, okay, you know what? It's a part of my genetic makeup and my mind wiring. I'm going to be addicted to it my whole entire life. But if I can just like, if I could just tackle it and try to make like work around it, then I'm good. If I keep on trying to fight something that I can't help, like naturally, just because that's how my mind is, then the more success I have. So it's one of those things where like that's why when I was like 3 or 4 years ago, I knew I needed therapy. I'm like, I need therapy, like family issues, like, you know, relationship issues, like problems all around. I need to get this taken care of, because if I don't, I'll wind up like the people in my family that are the most unhappy, like, you know, like, my family is great. Like they're whatever. But the thing is like there's so much drama around them. Like and I feel like it's every family you go to. Any family that you go to, there's going to be drama. People are going to, you know, like have their own set of problems. But for me, my problems were very personal, and I needed to make sure if I wanted to grow and I wanted to succeed in life, I needed to talk to somebody and get it all out and get it all taken care of. So that's why when going to therapy, it was one of those things where I knew I needed it, because if I didn't get it, I would probably just collapse and pretty much like be in, like I might have died. I might have like gotten addicted to something or you know, killed myself. I don't know. Like I've gone through a lot of depression growing up, and it was one of those things where I knew that it was something that needed to be addressed, because if it didn't, then it would just eat away at me for the rest of my life, and I wasn't prepared to let my life go down the tubes. Not at all, because I knew that my mission, my goal in life is to touch as many hearts as I can. And it was one of those things since I was a kid. Like my mom would always tell me, she was like, Joey, she's like, you were such a hugger when you were a kid. She's like, you hug everybody. And she's like, you would hug your teachers, you would hug your classmates, you would just hug everybody and just want to like just show so much affection. And it was one of those things where now that as I've grown, hugging is actually like an art for me, where my hugs actually heal people. And it's like whenever somebody wants to give me a hug, I'm like, bring it in right now, because you're gonna get the best hug of your life.
Yeah.
And it's just like those things where I've never had one person say you're a horrible hugger. Every single person that I've met has said to me, that was a good hug. You're such a good hugger. And it's one of those things where like I know I needed the therapy so that I could actually get that out there and show my love for people and help them through whatever problems they have. Like it was, that's why I'm in the fitness industry, because I want to help heal people. But I have other skills that aren't being put to use that's so much greater than what I'm doing right now, that I want to get out of that and maybe do it on the side and like do something else that's a little bit more expansive and more like it can hit the hearts of as like more people than I can possibly want. You know what I mean? So that's my mission.
Wow, man, that's awesome.
Thanks.
What are you doing in fitness, by the way? Like, are you a personal trainer or you teach group
Yeah,
classes? Or
I do both. I'm a fitness coach, and I also teach some classes. Um, it's honestly great. Like my getting into personal training, I injured my knee really badly. Like I tore my meniscus and I needed surgery, and my quality of life was such shit. And I was like walking lopsided. Excuse my language. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on this. I hope I am.
you can drop as many F bombs as you would like.
Fuck yeah. Okay, good.
Yes. Yeah.
So when I tore my meniscus, and here's some ST, I tore my meniscus and my quality of life was complete crap. So I knew that I needed to get personal training or physical therapy, I should say. But the physical therapy was so expensive and I couldn't afford it. So I'm like, maybe hiring a personal trainer might be a little cheaper, and I can go to somebody who specializes in corrective exercise. So that's what I did. And my first trainer was really great. It's just we didn't really have a connection that much. He was very like ISTJ. I don't like anecdotally an ISTJ
Yeah.
like demon FI to hell, like very very monotone. Like I feel like he was double masculine. It was just like I don't want to speak badly about him, but the thing was like he just wasn't really like the type of trainer that I needed. So I found another trainer, and he was so inspirational, and I was just like, and I became friends with him, and I became friends with other trainers. I was working as like a manager in the gym, like an operations manager or assistant op manager, and I was working at the front desk helping people with their accounts, like all these different things. But I saw how much people really appreciated trainers, and I'm like, I want to be a trainer. Look at how much people really appreciate and value like the like personal training. Like, and the reasons were like, oh, people like personal trainers. People like personal training is fun. The trainers seem to love it and whatever. Maybe I'll enjoy it. And I was just like, okay, like let me do it. I got my certification and I passed on the first try, which was awesome. And then I went into personal training. The only thing was I was like, I never like, writing the programs were a little bit challenging for me, just because it was like I was very insecure about it. It wasn't like I didn't know what I was doing. I was just very insecure. Like my FI was like, this isn't good. This sucks. This is like this program could be so much better. You're not as good as everybody else. Like all the other trainers are so much better than you. And I was just like,
sorry to cut you off. I think that's your feminine NI actually when you're writing a program.
who, me?
No, like I think the reason why you were insecure with writing programs is I think it's from your feminine NI. Like, because you kind of have to think in the future, right? And you have to kind of like figure out the steps, like how to take that person from, point A to point B.
Mhm.
And then you have to kind of create a program that is custom tailored for that person. So there's a lot of, a lot of planning involved and a lot of like knowing kind of like how the plan's going to move and also knowing the person that you're training. But the thing is you have feminine FI, right? So
Mhm.
you might see what the person's like, but you're not sure. You don't trust it almost. It's like feminine, right? Like it's movable, right? So
Yeah.
well, maybe not trust it, but you're not confident with it, and also
Yep.
with your NI, because it's also feminine. So there's also a lot of unsureness that you're feeling when you're like, so when you're writing that program, it's like, there's a lot of unsureness going on with that, with the planning process. Because I have lead NE, right?
Mhm.
And I find writing programs to be so easy. Like I'm not trying to brag or anything. It's just like for me it's just like, I'm like I when other trainers go up to me and tell me, oh, I have such trouble writing programs, I'm like, what? I can sit there in 10 minutes and write out a really good program, and I've gotten to someone a six pack before, so I can back it up with concrete results, right? And when people say that to me, I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why are they having trouble with writing programs? And then now you like, I'm talking to you, I'm like, oh, I see. It's
Mhm.
either feminine FI or demon N.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Like the thing was, yeah. I mean, I can 100% confirm that, just because like I would write the programs and it was, I think it was, yeah, it was more of like, I didn't think that, because I would see how the other trainers trained, and I was always comparing myself, like ridiculous amounts of that were going on too, because I'm like, oh, that trainer is a master trainer, that trainer is a chiropractor, that trainer has been doing this for 4 years, I've been only doing it for 2 or 1, like even 1 year, and I was just like, I suck, I'm the worst. I'm like, I would always tell myself I'm on the bottom of the totem pole, so therefore my program is shit. This was my TE logic. I have the least experience, therefore I am shit. And I'm just like, and my FI believed it. My FI actually believed it. And so what I would do was I would work with a trainer myself, and like this is how I kind of like overcame that. Like I would still work with the trainer, and I would also like pick the brains of other trainers. So play energy with other trainers, and I would just be like, okay, can you tell me more about this? Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. And then I was able to feel more comfortable with actually creating a program. So in the beginning, I was like very, very insecure. Now it's easy. It's like, but I love doing classes. Like I realized that I love doing classes more than one-on-one training, because the classes you can just like amp people up and get them like, like so into it that it's just, I taught my first class, and people gave me so many compliments. They were like, wow, like that was like one of the most challenging classes we've taken. Awesome job. You did great. And they actually helped me put away the equipment, which they don't ever do. And I'm like, that means something. You know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah.
they're helping me with that. I've never seen members take care of cleaning up the floor after a class. Like I've never seen that happen as long as I've been where I am.
Yeah.
And the fact that they did that, it validated to my FI that I'm a good trainer. So like that TE validated, like those were the reasons. I was like, they're helping me, therefore I'm a good trainer. But I always get into like this funk of like, I'm a good trainer one day, and then like the next day, oh my gosh, I'm horrible, and I get so depressed about it. And I'm just like, I don't think that I'm actually doing something that I love, that lights a fire underneath me. That's why I need to find something else, maybe do training on the side, because I do love it on some level, but not as a career. So I'm looking at other places that really just taps into my skill of with psychology. I was a psych major in school, and I was like really thinking about maybe I should get into something in the mental health field, and I'm looking into that, and I'm really excited about it. The only thing that I get worried about is maybe like, what if I don't have time to go to the gym? So I'm like kind of like working through that and trying to make time with one of my coworkers, seeing if we can come in like early in the morning or something like that, and we can work out together. Because I kind of need the tribe to help me through a workout. Honestly, it's like doing it myself. My feminine FI does not want to do it. It's just like the weirdest thing. Like I do so much better when I'm working with somebody else in a play energy state, but I'm trying to overcome that. So
Man, there was a lot there.
I'm sorry.
No. It's good. It's good. I'm not saying that's an attack or anything. I'm just like,
Okay.
because like every time you would say something, I wanted to like say something, but then you would say something else, and then I wanted to say something else about that, and then I'm like, oh my god, like now I don't know, what to say to you now, but like, so dude, I want to go kind of like first to when you said like, I wish I can find something that I really like, like that I can do. And I wonder if that's really a feminine FI thing. Like I believe it is. Just because I'm looking at my girlfriend and she seems to like jump from one career to the next and not having that kind of like she almost gets bored too easily. I don't know if you feel that way. Like you'll jump into like a field that you get like competent at it. Then you still want to do it on the side, but you want to jump onto something else. And then it's like, and it's kind of like maybe it's a low blast thing, like, blast is all about like sticking things through even though you don't feel like doing it anymore, because blast is all about like, like robbing your known information and kind of like blasting on just with your known information, or like building on something that's already known, right?
Right.
So,
Well,
but then the problem though is that like ideally you want to do something where you feel like at any given time, like it's like 8 out of 10 at least, like on a happiness scale, right? So like what I want to ask you is like, what, like I want to do like a small exercise with you, like kind of like what I did with my girlfriend, because so I'll give you an example. My girlfriend kind of she's like, it's kind of like weird, like she acts very similar to you actually. So she said to me, I was like, I don't know what to do with my career. She's like, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a career counselor, I want to be like an HR person, she's telling me all this stuff, like all this different career, right? And I'm like, and I'm just sitting there kind of like thinking, right? I'm like, okay. It's like, okay. She's like, but I don't know which one. I don't know which one to pick. Like, I want to do this. I want to do that. And I'm like, okay, let's go figure this out. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, if you were to be an HR person in the next 10 to 20 years, how would you feel? She's like 4 out of 10. I'm like, that's pretty shitty. All right, let's move on to teaching. If you were a teacher for 10 to 20 years of your life, and you can't do anything else, like that teaching is the thing that you're doing, on a scale of 1 to 10, on a happiness scale, how happy would you feel? And she's like, 6 out of 10. I'm like, that's pretty low. Like that's, what about career counseling? Like if you were to work in a college and you're counseling someone for the next 10 to 20 years, like helping students kind of figure out where they should go with their career. I know it's kind of ironic because she's the one getting like career advice here, but how would you feel on a scale of 1 to 10? On a happiness scale? And she's like 8 out of 10. I'm like, I think you just answered your question on like which career path you should go for, because 8 out of 10 is pretty high. And if you follow the 80-20 rule, that's the baseline for the amount of happiness that you want to have, if you want to choose a career where you're kind of making decent money and also being happy, right? So let's do that exercise with you right now. What are some things that you've always wanted to do, and kind of give me the scale of 1 to 10. So let's start with like psychology or counseling. How do you feel about that? Like if you
8 or 9.
All right, that's pretty high, right? What about fitness?
Oh, yeah.
Scale 1 to 10. If you did it for like 20 years, how would you feel if that was your main career? Like if you were being 100% honest with yourself.
3 or 4.
Yeah, that's not very high, right? So it's definitely not the path for you. Maybe on the side as a side hobby, but not like as the main gig, right? What other career have you kind of like entertained doing?
Well, I want to be an operator for op.
Okay.
For data. That's my main goal. Like that's what I'm heading for with all this.
I just thought of a funny thought, because like I can picture you kind of like having a call with someone, and then you're like, nope, this is the facts. Nope, you did this. Nope, you did that. Anyways, no, but like, taking that aside, would that be a 10 out of 10 for you then? If you
that would be a 12 or 15 or 100,000 out of 10 probably.
Okay, so you know what you do know what you want then. Like
I do.
Like
I thought about it a lot.
So it kind of like what you said at the start of the interview, kind of, I don't know why you even said it. Like I'm not sure what I want to do with my career, because you just said it with such ease, with such confidence. I want to be an operator for Dave and Shan. 12 out of 10. It's not even 10 out of 10. It's 12 out of 10, right? So that would be like
It's
option. That would be option A then, right? Like that's clearly
yeah,
option A. And option B would be counseling or some kind of like advisor, you
yeah,
know, and then there should be no reason for you to move to anything else because that's clearly what you want. Like you
yeah,
said it right now with such confidence.
yeah. Like the thing is uh with OP, like I want so badly to uh if I'm gonna be completely vulnerable about this, like this is this is something I don't usually put out there. And I hope, I hope it doesn't bother you. But I'm gay, and Dave and Shan are trying to take this theory and help the LGBT community. And I really, really want to be a part of that mission of helping people who are struggling through this to maybe give them some sort of resolution that it's okay with who they are, that is just tied to their wiring in their brain. So, I don't know how you feel about it. I don't effing know, and I hope that you're totally okay with it because now I feel like complete shit. But I'm gonna be brave and just be like, here you go. And that's one of the reasons why I want to be a part of that. And counseling, I just want to help. I just want to help and heal people. I see myself as a healer. That is how I view my identity. I'm here on this earth to heal as many people as I can, to give them as much love as I can. Like there was this one time I went to the city with a friend after New Year's, and we went to the city and we started handing out leftover food to homeless veterans. And I hugged every single one of them. I asked them their name because I knew that if like people who are homeless, people don't generally like call them by name. They don't really know their name. So I want them to feel like they're a part of the tribe, I guess you can say, and tell and like ask them, get to know them, get to know their story. And it was the most rewarding thing. Like I probably cried harder than I've ever cried when it came to something like helping somebody with helping homeless people. And it was one of those experiences that just like it just changed my mentality. It just made me just realize just how fortunate I am and how much I want to give people hope with whatever struggle they have to get through it. That's what I want to do. Like 100%, 12,000 million out of 10, what I want to do. And if I can find a career that matches up with that, which I think that op would, it would be that. So
Okay, first of all, dude, I 100% support you. I think what you're doing is I don't know, I can't describe it into words, but I think you need to fight for it. Like this is important, like
yeah.
like this is something that you need to fight for. I think this is super important. Like I think you
Mm-hmm.
need to do whatever it takes to get into op, and I think you need to do whatever it takes to, I can't say the acronyms properly, man. I always get jumbled up, but
Okay.
but like you need to fight for that community because like nothing pisses me off more like or like people saying like no you were gay by choice, or like
Voice.
or like I don't want to get into like a religious debate, but
Yeah.
I was born and raised Catholic, but when I was when I was in my early 20s, I became more agnostic. I stopped kind of believing in organized religion. Not that I didn't
Mm-hmm.
believe in a higher power. I just didn't believe in organized religion because I felt like it was man-made. Like
Mm-hmm.
some dude sat there and wrote this. And all the consume last people and all the I don't want to say this EJs started taking this and just kind of just used it as a tool kind of like to attach your identity to. That's my theory. I don't know how correct I am, but and I remember once going to I went to church once, and so I was born in the Philippines. But I'm Chinese descent, so I grew up in Canada. And I
Oh.
remember like 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, I went to Philippines and I went to church, not because like I wanted to, I don't really care, but out of
Mm-hmm.
respect for my cousins, because my cousins are religious. Like my
Mm-hmm.
my 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 one of my cousins is the biggest religious person in the world. Like she talks about Jesus every second, and there's like Bible quotes all over her house's wall. So out of respect for her, I went to church, and then nothing pissed me off so much more. Like I was so angry. The pastor said to everybody, look at this horrible law that they're now passing in the Philippines. They're now allowing, they're entertaining the idea that gay marriage is okay, and that you know, like, how they need to understand that being gay is wrong, and that you cannot, like, you are a sinner, and you're gonna go to hell. And nothing made me so angry. I was sitting there with so much anger, you know, when the pastor said that, like, and then everyone's like nodding their head too, right? And I'm like, how the fuck can you even like agree to this shit? Like, do you guys hear what he's saying? Like, how can you buy into this shit? Like, this is the biggest bullshit. So when I went home after church, I actually argued with my cousin about this. I'm like, how can you accept this? Because she knows I'm not religious anymore, right? Like, I'm a former religious person, went unreligious. And she said, how can you, I said to her, like, how can you accept this? Like, being gay is wrong? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. That's fucked up, right? Like, people were born that way. You know, they're not like, it's not like they chose to do that. And not that there's anything wrong with that either. Like, that's a lifestyle. If they want to be like that, that's perfectly cool, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone should be able to be whoever they want to be, right? And then she said to me, how would you feel if your son was gay, you know? And I'm like, I wouldn't care. I don't give a shit if my son is gay. You know, obviously I want to have kids, so maybe I'll ask him to, like, hey, can you, like, use your sperm and, like, I don't know, like, and like, you know, like, impregnate someone, but so you have kids. But, like, yeah, why not, right? Like, you don't have to have sex with a girl. You can just, like, you know, just give your sperm to someone and have
carry on. Give me grandchildren. Yeah. Like, yeah,
give me grandkids. But, like, hey, you know what? If you're gay, it's all cool to me. I don't care. Like, like, if my daughter's a lesbian, hey, I don't care. I really don't care. Like, to me, I don't care what you want to be, you know, or who you are. Like, I think you need, number one, authenticity is the most important thing to me. Like, nothing makes me so angry. Like, I'll punch you in the face. Like, the moment, like I don't punch a tribe, but the moment I hear someone being belittled for being who they are,
mm-hmm.
man, that really, like, pisses me off so much. Like someone, like, kind of like, I don't know, because I'm an EP, and for me it's all about, like, freedom of expression, you know, freedom of authenticity. And the moment someone's being restricted to kind of, like, express themselves or be who they want to be, I get so pissed, you know. I just get so angry. So
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to fight for this, man. Like, whatever it is that you're pursuing, like, it's obviously it's not gonna be an easy road for you, and there's gonna be a lot of work involved. But you know what, man? Nothing in life comes easy, right? So, like, if you have a dream, you gotta fight for it, like, with every bit of your heart. So I definitely commend you.
My FI is so inspired. I need to talk to you more. Like, what the hell? Oh my gosh, I can listen to you talk all day. That was awesome. Thank you so much for saying that.
I go into this rants when I hear about, like, injustice, almost. Like, I'm like, oh my god, it pisses me off so much, you know.
Your FI gets triggered, you go right into blast. Do you know where your blast is, by the way?
It's third.
It's third? Okay. So we're like the same.
They've been Shan, I pretty much confirmed it already. They confirm I'm sleep last.
Okay.
And they confirm I'm demon blast, which is third. So, like, the one we're fighting over is if I'm play over consume or consume over play. But
Right.
you know, but Dave keeps saying to me, because, like, I always fight him over this. So it's obvious I have masculine FI. So it's like he's like, oh, you know what, man? It doesn't matter. They're up there. Those two are up there. They're both gonna be good. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, like, the only reason why I argue with people with it is because my family members always say to me, Kendrick, you're the biggest selfish asshole growing up. Like, when we were kids, you know, like, there would be so our favorite food growing up as a kid, it's called sweet honey garlic spare ribs. Like, I absolutely love it.
Oh
and
my gosh.
My mom would buy it, like, a big container full of honey garlic spare ribs, and I would see the container in the fridge. I would open it and I would eat all of it before my sisters and my mom get a chance to eat it. And they're like, what the fuck, man? Like, you know, we like that. It's like, yes, but I like it too, and I'm gonna eat all of it, you know. And you know, I'm like such a dick, right? Like even like when I, you know, earlier when you're talking about your group fitness, right? Like, you're like, oh, I feel so happy that people are helping me put away the equipment, right? But, like, in my classes, I'm like, okay, you guys need to put away the equipment. Okay, this is where you put it. Go put it. It's like, I don't want to put them all away, right? So I'm like, go put them away. I just tell people to put them away for me, right? And like, And I'm like, I'm such a dick. I'm such a like selfish asshole. Like I do this all the time, right? Like,
Mhm.
so anyhow, I want to talk about double decider with you.
Okay.
David Shan said that double deciders
Mhm.
have problems with fear.
Mhm.
I don't remember which video they said this, but they said somewhere one of the older videos, not older, but maybe recent. They said double deciders have issues with pain, and double deciders have issues with fear. So I'll give you an example right now, and I want you to kind of like give examples in your life where kind of like it kind of it held you back. So I'll use that blast example that you know in the Facebook group you put a picture of like this person inside the comfort zone box, and then they ran out of the box, and then they pressed the do something button, and then like they're almost having a panic attack as they get close to the red button, and then like after they press it, they're almost like having like a panic, like oh my god, I need to go back, and they're like running as fast as possible to the comfort box, and they're like phew, you know, and so that 100% resonated with me because I used to be so scared to talk to girls. Like I would be so just paranoid. Like this is why I didn't start dating until later on, like in my life, and I didn't have a girlfriend until I was much older. Was because I was just so deathly afraid to talk to girls, like in general. Like it was like I don't know why. And like when I talk to them, I would have like panic, like not a panic attack, but I would feel so scared, like just to talk to them. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. But anyway, so like I had to learn how to do. I don't know if you heard of cold approach pickup. I did it. Like you basically talk to random strangers on the street or the mall or like the club. So basically, what I would do, it was so embarrassing because I would go with like wingmans, and I literally what you described in that Facebook picture of that person in a comfort zone running. I would like, okay, there's a girl, and I would like, oh my god, here we go. And I'll run, and then like the closer I get to the girl, like the fear and like the anxiety would like bubble up so hard, and then like I'll get to the girl, I'm like hey, and like seriously I'm not even present at this moment. I'll just be talking to them, and I'll be like, hey, I think you're cute. I don't know what else to say. Bye, and I'll like run back, and like, and then the person I'm with is like, what the fuck was that? Like you didn't even ask, you didn't even try to talk to them, you didn't even try to get their number, you didn't even like what are you doing? You just said hi to them, or you said they were pretty, you ran away. Like what the hell is that? And and like and then like for me, I felt like I was doing exposure therapy, you know, like kind of like I'll dip my hand like let's say it's like a I don't know, like a like you're trying to go to like a cold water, so I'll put like my finger first, then I'll put my hand first, and I'll put my whole arm first, and it's like, and that's how it was for me when it comes to like talking to girls. And I was like, it's so pathetic, but eventually I got used to it. I obviously have a girlfriend now, so it does work. But like that's like how I had issues with fear, the fear of
Right.
talking to girls, and so that's kind of like how it kind of affected my life. But I got over it by practicing, right? So where in your life had you had like a massive amount of fear and kind of held you back into like being happy or doing the things that you actually want to do, you know?
Hmm.
And it's a reoccurring theme. Like, so I'm kind of forcing you to use your NI here, which is kind of bad because I'm trying to make you look for patterns. But or maybe we can use SI here, which you don't have, which is also bad. But like recall back a time in your life where like fear held you back from being happy or doing the things that you want to do with your life.
So my life problems have always been more to do with not thinking I can. So it's like I have all of the information present. I guess like my consume is filled. Taking that step is probably the hardest thing. Moving out of my house is probably one of the hardest things, mainly in the sense that I'm afraid if I move out, I won't be able to take care of myself. And it's like the things where like I guess being independent is a recurring theme where I have to not go to the tribe constantly, and I'm always afraid of messing up. Just like, and then like at work, I'm afraid I'm gonna get fired if I do something wrong. I'm afraid of I'm afraid of making mistakes and it not being perfect. Because if it's not perfect, then it's complete shit. Like that's just what I tell myself in my head all the time. And I'm just like, this is not good quality. Like something that I feel like I guess being able to express my FI has been hard, like my emotions in terms of like I would go out with friends. One time I went to like this place called it's like a wine and painting place, right? And I like there's nothing scary about a canvas and paints and wine. Like that's fun, right? So I go with my friends and I start painting and I start getting really upset out of nowhere. And I'm looking at my picture and I'm looking at the person who's teaching us what to paint, looking at my picture, looking, and I start crying because I have this trauma around being criticized for most of my life. Like my mom is very perfectionistic, IJ controlling. And she would always kind of critique everything that I did, whether it be my art, my grades, whatever. And the thing was like I've always been afraid of like taking that step and it not being the right one to do, and it's just like I freeze where I know that if I move out I'll be fine. Like I've done everything. I've done things so much on my own. I am very independent at home, but it's like I guess my NI doesn't make the connection that I can also carry this independence somewhere else. But I think that it's more of like a fear of the finances not being enough and I'm going to be homeless. Like that's one of those things that I kind of worry about when it comes to moving out, even though I know myself and I know that if I have to go into survival mode, I will make it work. It's not going to overcome me with the fear, but it's just like being away from my family and like anticipating the I told you so's, like those things really just like kind of make me freeze, where I just don't make those moves. I don't go out and do like things that I know that I want to do personally because I'm afraid of what people are going to say if I fail. So it's one of those things where when I approach a new situation, even though I'm probably like very qualified for it, it's like my NI doesn't see like it's the same because my SE is like this is a completely different scenario. It's like it's not, and then once I do it and I get it done and I do it once, I'm like okay, I can do this like 10,000 times, no problem. Like going into relationships and talking to guys is also really hard, just because like being that vulnerable person where it's like I have to like really show emotion to my friends and to the people that I want to date, and it's just like I'm afraid that it's going to be the wrong emotion and they're going to break up with me. So like I get afraid of getting into situations where I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. And I'm not going to have any sort of I guess like support, or I'm not going to be able to support myself. And it's like I don't like relying on people. That's why I'm trying, like when I went to therapy, it was like I was always relying on my parents, and I wanted to break away from that, just because whenever I would rely on them, if I didn't want to do something, they'd be like, well, I did this for you, so you have to. And I'm like, all right. So it's just like that if something, God forbid, happens where I need help from somebody, I'm afraid of asking because I don't like when if someone lends me money, as soon as I have access to my money, I send it to them right away, because I do not want to be indebted to anybody, and I don't want to have that over my head where it's like I owe this person so much money and whatever. And it's just like that I guess is like my biggest freak out is being indebted to somebody and like not being able to pay them back or something. So that's where like my freakouts tend to happen. Like I want to be independent from people to be able to survive, I guess. If that makes sense.
It does. But so dude, it's kind of funny you mentioned all that, like your parents kind of like hypercritical of you kind of like growing up, like
Mhm.
whether that be your grades or your art. Because my girlfriend had the exact same experience. Maybe it's a type 2 thing, but like so, she was never good enough, pretty much, like whatever she did, there was some kind of criticism involved. It's obvious to me that your next step in your life that you must do is to move out. Like that's very obvious. Like you have to do that.
I know.
Yeah, but
Tell
and
me something, Hendrik.
no, I know,
Come
but like just going back to your dream, right? Of like using op to kind of like serve people, help people, help the LGBTQ community, prove scientifically that you know that they're born that way.
on.
I think if you're gonna fight for a group, you need to be able to fight for your own freedom first, and to fight your own demons first, and you need to win. And you need to do whatever it takes to win that battle with yourself. So if that means you need to move out and you feel like shit and you feel terrible and you feel scared and deathly afraid and people are going to judge you and have that like shadow behind you, not the ESFP and eye shadow freak out thing that but that shadow where people are saying I told you so. I think you need to prove to them and you need to prove to yourself that they're wrong, that you can make it, that you can be independent, and you know what you're doing. And even if you don't know what you're doing, you at least know what you want out of life, and you're gonna go for it 100%, and nothing's gonna stop you, because that's the first step. If you can win this battle, then the next battle is not gonna be as bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow, you're really great. Wow. You're very you have this way of speaking where there's so much reassurance, especially how you go about it, and like you're such a problem solver. And this is why I think that maybe Dave and Shen might think that you might be NT, because like this is an abstract problem. No, I'm serious, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight you on this. I'm sorry, like, my masculine T is gonna fight you.
I'll fight you
Like
back, my masculine FI.
like, but you're so good at solving problems in the abstract and banging the blocks to the point where you're doing it in such a calm state.
Yeah.
And I think that's an amazing thing. I really, really do, because it's like now I want to go out and I want to do better because of how you communicated that to me, which was beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
And I'm very impressed. I'm going to say that right now. I'm very impressed with how you went and communicated that, because that is something I really needed to hear. It's something I need to hear all the time, but it's like hearing it gives me more confidence. Like I know now that I'm like so certain of my type, like I'm 100% all in. This is my type. This is how I can battle my demons. I'm going to create a plan now, because it's like my NI is last and I don't have a plan, and I need a plan in order to reach a goal. So I feel more comfortable and confident in my NI now that I'm aware of the pattern of my behavior and who I am as an ESFP. It's so much more clear to me now, and I'm not afraid anymore. Like I don't fear, like I really don't feel like I fear anything right now. Like I feel very competent, capable, and I feel like it's becoming closer and closer and closer to getting to where I want to be. That I'm just kind of like I'm feeling so ready right now. I just need to put everything together and plan it out and actually just do it. So like once I do that, it's gonna be like, they're so right when they say you have to hit the bottom and then go up. Like I was literally right here. Literally. Literally, look at that. I was literally like right here, and I'm making my way back up now, up the mountain, and I feel like it's so rewarding, and I'm just so like I'm dead set on it right now. I'm ready to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man,
So
for
thanks.
sure. Like you definitely need to hit rock bottom several times in your life to. I have so many stories in that, but I'm not gonna go into detail right now. So, dude, we're gonna go wrap up the interview pretty soon. I do have two final questions for you.
Sure.
First question is, what message do you have for any ESFJs or ESFP, sorry, out there who is similar to you, double masculine or, tribe above self, who's struggling kind of like expressing their true self, because they fear that someone's going to shame them, someone's going to invalidate them, or maybe it's just pure fear of just being exposed or being known for who you are, you know, because that inside core of yourself, that introvert feeling is very sensitive, you know. But I can see that you've kind of worked on it also with your NI too, actually. Like you said, your NI seems to be better than your FI.
Yeah.
Oddly enough. But what kind of advice would you give to people who are your same type as you, who are struggling and wants to get out of this kind of funk and be happy with their life, doing the things that they like to do?
Do you want me to speak in op terms?
You can speak in your terms.
Oh, damn. Okay.
You can use op. You can use op to back it up.
Okay. I would say pay more attention to your experiences and how not every single experience is different. Mainly because there are lessons within every experience that you encounter, and if you fail to pay attention to that, you're going to basically get hit and potentially kill yourself. So you need to be more aware and conscious of how your actions affect how your future will play out. So if you're going out and you're drinking every night, just think about how is that going to affect your body? How's that going to affect your mind? How's that going to affect your relationships? Think about how, if you want to go on an adventure, right, and you're not prepared, you haven't decided to, like, you know, get everything organized, you just like get up and go. Think about how that might affect your life too, because you can go out and you can experience this thing, and then all of a sudden something is going to happen that you didn't even think was going to, like you didn't even think it could happen. And also, don't be afraid to show a little bit of emotion, because emotion is actually healing. If you gave yourself the time to really process your emotions and present them to people and express yourself, people appreciate that so much more. And arguing is not going to solve any problem at all. It's just going to amplify the problem. But if you can get your emotion in it and really understand what you're feeling and why, it's going to amplify and increase your success when it comes to anything like relationships, work, because your emotion should be something that drives you and not your reasons. And if people don't like what you're doing, that's on them. That's not your responsibility to listen to what they have to say and invalidate your FI or your feelings. And also, just give yourself more credit. Don't tell yourself that you're not good enough when you have done. If you're successful and you've impacted so many people, don't give yourself the invalidation if there are better reasons that you're looking for. Like, you have to find balance. I think that is my biggest lesson that I would like to give to all people of my type. You need to find balance in everything, in what you're gathering and also preparing, and your emotions and also other people, and finding that perfect balance. Like, it'll really just give you, it'll just really just like, how do I want to say this? It'll give you closure, and also it'll help you tackle any other problems that you might have in life that's not exactly that's not helping you, and you'll be able to recognize that more. And the more you do it, the more you'll be able to overcome whatever challenges you have.
Dude, man, that was really well blasted right there. That was such a good. I think you need to after the interview's finished, you need to watch yourself during that last bit versus like the earlier bit, because when you're using blast and play, your demeanor is completely different. Like, it's almost two different people. You should check it out.
Like demon state.
No, I mean, it wasn't yes, it's a demon, but you did it really well. And I was more referring to your demeanor. Like, you're definitely so much more serious when you're blasting versus when you're using play. It's like there's a massive difference. You should just check it out. Watch yourself. It'll be a good kind of insight for you. You get actual SE concrete to see what you're like when you're blasting versus when you're using play. Last thing is, do you have any question for me as an ENFP that like, because I have functions that you don't have, right? Like I have NE and I have SI. So do you have any questions about functions that you might not have that I have that might help clarify some things for you before we wrap this up?
Is your NE feminine?
It's feminine. I have masculine SI. I'm very auditory.
Okay.
I'm really good with music or like hearing like vibrations, I guess. Like, like I know exactly what someone's doing in the other room just by like the feel of like I can sit here and I know what someone's doing in the other room.
Really?
Like, I used to live when I used to live with I live on my own now with my girlfriend. When I used to live at home with my parents, I would be in the second floor, and if I pause for a second and just like close my eyes, I can almost like I have a pretty good idea what my mom's doing downstairs in the kitchen.
It's so weird.
I know, like I'm super auditory, like extremely auditory. Like it's weird.
That's crazy. Wow, that's awesome.
But I can't visualize for shit. I don't see anything. When people ask me to visualize something, I don't see anything. Like I like literally just like blank. They're like, picture your life, picture yourself in a nice beach, and you're laying on a hammock, and that it's humid and it's a nice bright sunny day. I'm like, I don't feel anything. Like I honestly don't feel anything. Like I cannot visualize for shit. Like I learn by hearing, like I learn really well from, listening to podcasts or audiobooks or like hearing someone talk to me. Like I'm extremely auditory.
I'm literally seeing that right now. That's really weird. But my visual is third, so it's not dead last. That's probably why.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm blind. Yeah.
Blind as a bat.
Yeah.
Where is everything?
Yeah. I'm like boom. Yeah. Like tripping everywhere.
Oh
yeah, I'm really clumsy, so I trip everything too. I just don't see things.
Yeah. And yeah, you have Demon SI and your audio, so you don't see anything in front of you. That's really funny. Because Dave's audio too, and his Demon is SE. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I run.
Okay, so I do have a question for you though. I want to know something.
Sure.
So your NE, how would you explain the difference between NE and NI in a way that people can understand on a more sensory level?
I explained this before to Julian, the ISFP that I interviewed. I don't know if you saw that last bit of the interview, but so I'll use fitness as an example. So when it comes to NE, like let's say I'm trying to help someone become really fit, right? Like let's say their goal is to lose, I don't know, 10% body fat, maybe not have 6-pack, but have a 4-pack. Mm-hmm. And their goal is weight loss. Clearly, it's obviously weight loss, right? So if I was an NI user, I would give this person the absolute best weight exercise program. It'll have a cardio component to it. Let's say HIIT, because that's one of the best ways for you to lose body fat. Also some steady state cardio too, to just build up your endurance in general. They'll have a good weights program for resistance training and stretching, obviously. And they'll kind of back it up with a lot of SE science behind it to kind of like back it up with facts, right? Like, doing this will produce this much result. And everything is all in on that exercise. Now, if I was using NE, I would look at it in a kind of like a broader spectrum. So I won't necessarily give them 100% of the absolute best to the very finest detail of the workout program. But I will also help them with come up with nutrition, a program for maximizing their sleep, because if you have too much cortisol buildup, you're not going to lose weight, right? Also stress reduction. So I think it's the 4 pillars, right? It's like stress reduction, getting proper sleep, and those two is more related to cortisol buildup because you can't lose weight if you have so much cortisol. There's also nutrition, because if you don't eat well, then you're not going to lose weight. And you need to have the proper exercise program. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the 80-20 rule. 80% of exercise, nutrition, sleep, and stress. And I'll have a program for each of those. So it's more broad, but I'm covering all the different bases, while someone and I would just be covering one thing. Just exercise. Just exercise.
That's me.
What's
You're
that?
probably really good at selling too, right? You're like NI like that. That's so true. That's exactly how I do it. It's like, my thing is, when the thing that I struggle with the most when it comes to personal training is selling people on it, just because like I'm not like I have very, very low self-confidence. It's very, very hard for me to sell myself. I can sell any other trainer in the gym. I could sell a membership to anybody, but when it comes to selling myself, I'm kind of like, you shouldn't pick me. You should actually pick this person over here because they're really, really good. And it's one of those things where like with when it comes to NI, it's like I'm not a salesperson. Like my FI and my NI, they process it. I'm like, I'm not a salesperson. I don't sell. I'm not bloodthirsty to sell. I don't care about that. I just want to train the people. I don't want to do any sort of selling. And it's just like it's that makes so much sense. So you can probably like take I know exactly what you're doing. So I'm seeing what you're doing. You're taking the patterns of certain things and combining it kind of like on a spectrum, and you're narrowing it into SI to make it so that it pretty much works in the sensory.
So the SI, it's kind of like a recipe, right? When you're like trying to cook something, like
Yeah.
step one, like you do this, step two, you do this. And if you mess up the step, then the food doesn't taste the same, right?
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I'm doing. So I have like a wide NE to gather all the information, right? From each of the different 4 areas that I mentioned to you, and then I have an SI like recipe list on how to do them for each of those. And then I give it to the client. Now, I think when you said that, you have low self-esteem and you are low confidence and you can't sell yourself. I think it's just your attitude towards selling, like it's not really like I know selling has a lot of negative connotation to it. Like you maybe you want to picture like a slimy car salesman or something, or salesperson, but like
Yeah.
yeah, but in general, there's nothing more annoying than those people in the gym that keeps calling you, right? Like asking you to come back, to do like an assessment or like a tour of the gym, so you can sell their memberships or like a personal training program sessions. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but I used to work in a commercial gym, and we did have to sell, and it was 100% sales commission. So if we don't sell, we get fired essentially. And if not only that, to make things worse, I think it was one of the worst moments of my life. I just moved out and I was working 100% sales commission. So if I didn't sell, I would not have money to pay rent, or I would have no money to pay for food. So I would either go hungry or I would be evicted. So my attitude towards sales was different though. Like I knew it was something important. Like I felt like if you can't sell a personal trading sessions to someone, then how can you sell them the idea that they should be healthy, that they should work out, they should eat healthy, how they should reduce their stress and get enough sleep? How can you sell them on all these ideas if you can't even sell them, getting a personal training? So you don't have to identify with it. You can kind of like look at it from an objective point of view. Like number one, you're building up your selling skills, not only to, get a client, obviously, but also to be better at persuading other people being on board with something that's really going to be helpful to them, right? And number two, it's just a necessary life skills, right? Like if you want to start your own business or anything, you need to learn how to sell. It's important to learn how to sell. You don't have to think of it in a negative way. It could be a positive way, right? And if you think of it objectively instead of identifying with it, like instead of saying I am a slimy salesperson, be like, learning sales is an important skills to have for my career and also to help other people. It's I don't know if that makes sense to you.
No, it does. That's awesome. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so it's just like looking at it from the objective point of view instead of
Yeah. So with me, like my thing was like when I was working in a different gym, I was hitting my numbers. I was getting my clients like the best thing that I can possibly my best skill as a trainer is getting people to re-sign and buy more sessions with me.
yeah.
But the initial because I don't know this person and I have to pretty much like present for this person and show them that I'm the best, even though in my heart I don't think I am. And it's one of those things where like once I get them on a program and once I have them working out, they love the experience. But I don't remember how much people actually love working with me because I just forget about that because all I'm doing is saying like that person's better. Like this, my coworker over here is a chiropractor, so he's so much better than me. And like, it was one of those things where like, that's where I would freeze up to, where I was like, well, that person probably deserves to work with this trainer and not me. And like, when it came to business and hitting numbers, like that was not a struggle at all. Like I hit 10K in revenue like twice in my career. And I was steady between like 5K and like 8K every month. And
Wow, that's really good.
That
Yeah,
wasn't
awesome,
the issue. Thanks. But that wasn't the issue. The issue was just like going on the phone and calling people and saying, hey, why don't you come in and do an assessment with me?
Yeah.
That is probably the most terrifying thing, because hearing them say, no, I'm good, I take it very, very personally. And I get very upset. Feel like I did something to upset them, or it like deflates my confidence as a trainer. And that's why I think that if I'm not I want to be in a profession and a career where I'm not competing with other people, but we're actually working together as a team. Because I feel like when I never did sports growing up when I was a kid, because competing against other people, I got very upset if I didn't do well in a race, or I didn't do well in like the shot put, because I did track and field. So I would get very, very upset if my performance was below par, and I was in if I was like lower or whatever. And it was just like, it was very traumatizing, and it sucked. So I feel like I want to be a part of a team where we have to work together in order to actually achieve this overall goal. And I feel like working as a personal trainer, even though it's something that I value, my FI values it, it's not something I want to do because of the competition. I'm not a competitive person by any means. I hate competition. I would rather it be like, okay, we can all work together to help each other. Like that's my ideal, is being a part of a team where we all help each other, not we all compete against each other. Because that to me is just like, that's trauma. There's trauma there, and that's something I need to address. But it's something that I know doesn't serve me, and it doesn't put my strengths into use, just because of how just the nature of it in general is just like, it's very like, the competitiveness is just very overwhelming and painful. So I can't do it, and I know I can't do it. Like I've done it, but I can't do it because of how much it like affects me emotionally. It's just I need to find something else, you know.
I think what's cool is that we both work in the fitness industry, so we have the exact same example, so it's easy for us to kind of communicate, because we get it, right? But I think that our attitude towards it is completely different, because like, you know, you were talking about like, you know, you take things personally when people say, oh, no, I'm good, right? Like when I was doing when I was selling personal training with people, it's just like the mindset that we have is completely different. Like from what you told me, like when you said, you know, you would always say, oh, this person's better than me. This person's better than me. You know, this person's a chiropractor. This person's better than me. For some reason, when I was doing the selling, I never even thought about the other people. Like the only thing I can think of is like, okay, Kendrick, your goal with this talk is to get a direct rejection. I want this person to reject me directly, so it hits me to my core, right? So this person, we cannot, like, let's say I'm doing an assessment with them, and it's in the sales portion of the assessment now. I always think to myself, Kendrick, this person cannot leave their seat until they give you a direct rejection. They have to tell you, no, I don't want to have you as my trainer. So like, I want it to be like personal, and I want it to be direct. So like, I always ask them at the end of the assessment, would you like to hire me as your personal trainer? Like, I always said that line because I wanted to, and I would pause and I would make sure that, like, inside I'm feeling anxious, really, really scared. But like, I'm like, no, Kendrick, you need to take a direct hit. You need to get used to taking a direct hit over and over and over again, right? And I would just sit there and wait for them. They would look at me, right? They will feel uncomfortable too, right? Obviously. And I don't like making people feel uncomfortable. But I was like, no, I need to take a direct rejection. I need them to look at me and say, I don't want to say, I don't want to hear, no, I'll think about it. I want to hear, no, I don't want you to be my personal trainer. I wanted to make it personal. Like, hit me, you know, like hit me hard, you know, like hurt my feelings, you know? And I know that sounds crazy, but that's kind of like my thought process, like when I was doing like fitness, because I was like, if I can't toughen myself up and learn how to take a direct hit, you know, how can I, it goes back to your dream, right? Like, you know, fighting for your dream. If you can't take a direct hit, because man, when you start going after your dream really hard, you're gonna get a lot more hit than what you're experiencing right now.
But
Uh,
this is not my dream. That's the thing. Like that's something I had to come to terms with, and it took me so long to realize that this wasn't my dream.
I know.
Like,
I'm not talking about that though. I'm talking about op.
yeah,
Your dream is to op and to fight for the LGBTQ community, right?
yeah,
So when you
yeah.
start
That
fighting
I
for
won't
that,
have problems with.
no, it's the same
Yeah,
thing. I'm kind of using NE here to describe this. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, man.
yeah.
Whether
No,
that whether that be moving out or getting someone to hire you as a personal trainer or working as an op operator and people fighting you or people saying, why are you fighting for this community? It's the same thing. You're fighting for the same thing. You know what I mean?
yeah. No, I completely understand what you're saying. So you're saying basically, like, to put it in a nutshell, like you're gonna have struggles no matter where you go. You're gonna basically, like, when you move out, you're gonna have problems. You might not get your rent due on time or whatever. Just keep on going and don't let that stop you. Like, you go to a job, you're gonna hate it. Just work through it and just kind of like it's all gonna, like, that's the thing, is like all of my experience in life is building upon itself, and like I know that this is like that. I know that where I am now is exactly where I need to be, and that it's going to drive me forward in the long term. My whole entire life has been focused on personal growth. And the thing that sucks with training is that, like, when a member comes in, I can immediately tell they're interested in training or they're not interested in training. And 99% of the time, they're not interested in training. So that really bothers me and it affects me, and it gets like a little overwhelming for me. And I can't sell myself on it, because like I can tell from their body language, from how they're answering questions, from the way that they're kind of like looking in terms of like if their arms are crossed, if they're not, if they're like, I can sense when they're basically like feeling like I'm trying to sell them on something, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't, like, it's hard to explain and put into like sensory terms, I guess you can say, but it's just, if I was with you, let's just say you came in, we're doing an assessment, and I asked, how'd you like it? Oh, it was good. It was really good. And I'm like, I'm hearing that, and I'm seeing their, like, their arms crossed or whatever, and I'm like, they're not interested. They're not going to buy. And it could be like a me thing. Like, I think it might be more me, because like I basically take that and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm going to try anyway. And that's where like I kind of fail. And it's just, those hits they're hard hits. They really, really are, because it doesn't feel good getting rejected. And I think that, in life, yeah, I'm gonna go through all this hell, and but I'm more prepared for it than I've ever been after I came to terms with my type. Because like now I'm starting to see like the end connections more clearly, and they're not going away. So it's not like my end is like deep down unconscious. So I feel like it's pretty much like pulled up and it's like here to stay. It's like, like a plant coming up from the ground, and like a flower is budding. Like every time I would plant the seed and try to get the flower to bloom, it wasn't growing. And I was like, why isn't it growing? It's like, because you're pouring too much water, you're putting too much sensory on it, and you're killing it. But now I'm understanding, okay, put just this much, that much, and it starts growing. And I'm like, all right, it's here to stay. And it's like, it's rooted into the ground and it's not going away. And I feel like that's really helping me drive forward, which is amazing. And I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, dude, I completely get what you're saying when you're like, you know when someone's not interested in buying something from you. Like, it's obvious. It's obvious. Like you don't need. It's like you can see the facial expression, the hand movements, like the cross arm, whatever. But what I was referring to earlier actually is more like hardening your FI, because you have a soft FI. So remember Dave always talks about like with masculine and feminine. When you have
Yeah.
soft masculine, he said always work at softening that masculine function that you have, and when you have a feminine function, work at hardening it. And like basically the point I was trying to make was like, your FI is your biggest area of improvement right now that obviously that you want to work on. You communicated that to me at the start of the interview pretty much. And then you work in fitness, and obviously, to get stronger at something, you need to put in the reps, you need to put in, the time, right? So the basically the point I was trying to make is you need to put in the reps at getting a direct personal rejection. And it has to happen over and over and over and over again. And it's going to feel like shit. It's going to feel horrible, but it has to go over and over and over again. And you know what, man? It's always going to be feminine, but you can make it a little bit stronger. I have feminine TE, right? And I can't tell you how much trouble I have with like ordering kind of like order in a class. Like let's say I'm teaching a group fitness. I have such massive issues with like managing chaos in a class. Like people are doing crazy shit all over the class, right? And I just like I can't like control them to like chill the fuck out. And everyone, hey, you do this. This is the right way to do it. You know, like I have such trouble with that because I have feminine T, right? Like,
Yeah.
so, you know, but I'm working at it. It's hard. So I catch myself kind of like being more submissive as a result of having that feminine T. But then I catch myself when that happens, and I'm like, okay, man. Oh, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta punch a tribe. I gotta do it. It's not gonna feel good, but I gotta punch them, you know. But for you, it's like for you, it's effortless, right? You just punch them, no problem, right? You know.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the point I'm trying to make. Is like, you know. So for you, you need to learn how to directly take a hit with your feminine FI, and I need to learn how to hit people directly with my feminine TE. You know, and it's gonna be work in progress for both of us, but it's something we gotta learn, right?
Yeah, we should be more in touch with each other so we can learn from the other person.
For sure.
Like I feel, yeah, I feel like my NI, like with my NI, my family, you know, like it took me a while to take hits from them and not get affected. So I feel like I need to like sleep process that.
Yeah.
And figure out, okay, since like, you know, I've built up a tolerance to taking my family's hits and not taking it personally.
Yes.
I need to now apply that and actually use that for when I go out into work and not let that affect me. So like that's actually I think that's a really, really great idea. That's a great TE idea. And I'm like, I'm actually now I have to sleep process that. I have to really just like zoom in and just focus on that and just be like, okay, how did I overcome taking hits from my family, and how can I take that and apply it to the gym and just imagine them as my family and being able to be comfortable with them and convince them that I'm a good fit or whatever, and not taking it to heart. You know what I mean?
Well,
I have to see clients and members and coworkers as family, and they're just other people who just like throw their shit at me, and I'm just like, you know, my FI, instead of it just like penetrating and just like hitting me where it hurts, building up that shield to kind of like deflect, and then once like everything's not being thrown at me, open up that shield and just let it down, and then my feminine FI can come out, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think you should. I don't think you should deflect or anything. Like I feel like when it comes to emotion, I think you should accept that you like. Let's say like I think maybe it goes back to your childhood. You know, like I don't know if you like to say what's wrong to people, but like, or like sometimes maybe when you feel like when you're offended, you might say what's wrong with me. I don't know if you've ever said that. Like, but I think at the end of the day, you shouldn't reject any emotion, whether that be positive or negative. You know, like if you feel like shit, you should accept like you feel like shit. You know, like so let's say you get rejected at work by like a potential client. I don't think there's anything wrong with feeling hurt. Like I think you should feel hurt for it. Like maybe go back to the back office and talk to your coworker about it, and you can like, you know, express that you're hurt by the situation, right? So there's nothing wrong with. Obviously, you need to talk to someone that gives you that safe space, not just like some asshole coworker who clearly will shame you for it. But like, you know, it's all about like accepting that you have negative emotions and that you feel bad for certain things. And the more you come to terms with it, not to like deflect it, but to come to terms with it, like almost become. I don't know if you saw that movie. Is it In and Out or Inside Out or something? Like the cartoon.
Inside Out, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
that movie.
Yeah, you know, like, you know, they talk about like, you know, life is not all about joy, right? There's like sadness and joy. Like they kind of like all go together hand in hand, right? So, you know, you need to like part of it is self-acceptance, to be honest. Like, so for you to accept yourself better, you need to realize that it's okay to feel bad. It's okay to feel like shit when someone rejects you. Everything's okay. There's nothing wrong with. You don't have to you don't have to deflect it. It's part of you, you know, and you have to be comfortable with having a relationship with that side of you that you kind of rejected. Like it's almost when someone rejects you, it's almost like you're rejecting yourself. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and you don't want to reject yourself, right? So you need to accept who you are as a person, you know, and accept that if someone rejects you, it's okay. It's okay to feel bad. It's okay to have negative emotions. You know, you don't. It's okay. That's it. You don't need to rationalize it. You don't need reasons. It's just okay, right? And then you just move on. So you feel bad. Pause for a second. You sleep. All right, sleep. Pause for a second. Use your sleep. Pause for a second. Once you recovered after you processing it through sleep, then you move forward again. And it's like a step-by-step process. Get hurt, sleep process, move on. Get hurt again, sleep process, move on. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. Wow. I'm gonna be bothering you. I'm gonna be beating on your head so much more now that I know that you have this very, very, very amazing, like, good reason, these amazing reasons, and just be prepared. I mean, no, I'm kidding.
I think it's more NE actually.
What was that?
I think I'm using more NE if anything.
No. I'm saying, like, I'm seeing you as like a good person to talk to, just like to be able to, like, you, like, I can connect with you, and we could talk about this, and we can kind of, like, be there for each other. Like, I'm not gonna, like, just be like, hey Kendrick, help me. Like, I'll be there for you any way that I could, you know what I mean? So, like, I don't want you to think that I'm just gonna, like, just browbeat you all the time. Like, I'm just saying, like, I would love to play energy with you more. And if you have any sort of, like, if you have anything that you're going through that you need someone to talk to, like, I'll be that person for you.
Yeah.
And if you want to, like, if you want it, like, to make that a thing where we can kind of be on the same level, like, I would love to connect with you more. You know what I mean? Because it's like you have a lot of amazing insight that I think, like, I would love to basically, like, take your insights and also just, like, go out and apply them. And I feel like if there's anything that I can offer you, I would love to help you in that regard as well, if that's something that you would be interested in. If not, totally get it. I'm not gonna take it personally, just because that's my work right now. I'm trying to, like, work on not taking things personally. But if that's something that you would be interested in, I would totally be down for it too. I feel like we can change lives even more. You know what I mean? That'd be so cool.
Who's gonna say that, man? He's gonna be like, no, I don't want to be your friend. Like, who's gonna say that? What a fucking asshole! What a fucking asshole would say that?
That's my Kendrick. That's my ST robot way of saying, "Can you be my? Do you want to be my friend? Are we friends?"
Yeah, man, we're friends, dude. What the fuck? Like,
here are my reasons. These reasons. Be my friend.
can you be my friend?
Will you be my
Yes,
friend?
I can. Awesome.
You're amazing.
All right, dude. Awesome interviewing today, man. I'm gonna go hit the stop button now, and
Okay.
I'll talk to you after I hit the stop button.
All right. Sounds good. Take care,
All right.
guys.
Here we go. Later, dude.